Hey everyone, Daniel with DCF Garage, and this is gorgeous daughter's new, brand new 2020 Dodge Challenger SXT with the 3.6 Pentastar V6 with 303 horsepower. It's not the Hemi, obviously, but it's still a very powerful car. It's fun to drive, and it's quite an upgrade from gorgeous daughter's 2015 Camry. But anyway, what I'm going to do in this video today, I'm going to do the first oil change. And so this car's got a little bit more than 1,000 miles. It's pretty much a well-known best practice to change the break-in oil, the oil that comes from factory, which is a really thin oil. It's just really to break in the engine. If you want your engine to, go long, last long, you really need to change the break-in oil with 500, 1,000 miles. So that's what I'm going to do. And I got the oil here, so let's look at what we're going to use. We're going to use this Pennzoil Platinum. It's a 5 Winter 20 or 5W20, which is the spec for the car. I got original oil filter. This engine takes 6 quarts. Basically every Pentastar engine is going to take 6 quarts. And Pennzoil is actually the supplier for the Mopar oil engine. Correct me if I'm wrong. Dodge used to use Mobil 1, but now it seems to be using Pennzoil. If I'm not right, please let me know in the comments. But I think either way, this is a good quality, and it adheres to Chrysler spec, as you can see here. I don't know if you can read it, but it's MS6395, so it exceeds. It's a good quality oil and synthetic. So I think we're going to be fine. All right, so a couple of things I found very interesting that are quirks in this car, and I just wanted to share that with you. First of all, the dash. I think it's, Dodge did a really great job with this dashboard. It's absolutely gorgeous. The numbers, and here in the center, I don't know if you can actually see it, but it's actually a checkered flag over here, so that's a nice detail. And something else that I found interesting was this multimedia. Well, it's not the largest, absolutely not, but what I found very interesting in this media, it's just the quality of the contrast. So it's the the dark. Maybe you cannot see it with the camera. You're certainly not going to be able to see this well with the camera, but the dark is really dark, right? The contrast is really good. The white is really bright. So it's a good quality, even though it's a small media. It comes with the standard carb, right? It's a good quality resolution. Also correct me in the comments, but it seems like this is an OLED screen. It's really high quality for the standard screen, I think. Something else I found interesting in this car is the overall quality of the build. I think it's above average for a Fiat Chrysler product. I'm sorry. I've had a couple of them in the past. So I've had a Journey and I've had the Ram. You guys know that. But I think the quality of this vehicle is, I think it's superior to the Journey, definitely. And I think it's also superior to the Ram. So the only thing that my other two vehicles had in common is that they weren't manufactured in the US or Canada. So this one, as you can see, is manufactured in Canada. So hopefully the build quality of this FCA vehicle is better than the one I experienced with the Journey and with the Ram. And this one comes with a black top package, which basically blacks out everything. It doesn't have any chrome. So as you can see, the grille here is black. The Challenger badge is black. It's got the black stripe on the car. Everything is blacked out. It's got the black stripe on the roof. It's got the black spoiler and the black fuel cap. It also comes with the 20-inch wheels, which I think these wheels are gorgeous. So overall, I think this is a very nice package. Now let's get to actually changing the oil on this car. Okay, so in order to drain the oil, we have to remove this plastic cover, and it actually says here, it's upside down, remove for engine service, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 over here, 3, 4, 10 millimeter bolts that you have to pull out. Now that we got the plastic cover off, so you just have a bolt here in the oil pan. So I got the 13 millimeter, but it's not actually 13. I didn't look up online which exact measure this bolt was, but the 13 is gonna do, but you can see it's not perfect, but it's gonna work. Okay, so the drain plug shoots to the side. So I'm gonna do the best job I can not to spread oil everywhere. It's gonna be hard. I think it's loose. Yeah, all right. That was actually good. Yeah, the oil is I think it's dark for an oil with 1,000 miles. And I think this is expected, and good reason why we should be changing the braking oil with 1,000 miles. Just makes our point. And the vehicle holds 6 quarts with the oil filter, and my pen here is exactly 6 quarts, so hopefully it's not gonna overflow. So the oil filter, you need to extract it from above, so it's right here in the engine, and I'm using a 24 millimeter socket, but you know, I think everything in this car is SAE, is not metric, so it's not the exact fit, but it works. I mean, you're not going to put a ton of torque into this. So let's pull out the filter, and here you go. So that's the filter. Let's go get a new one. And again, we're being abundantly cautious to change the oil in the filter with 1,000 miles, but it's because, you know, I want this engine to last a longer time. And the engine that I had that was a Pentastar on my Dodge Journey, on the 2016 Dodge Journey that me and gorgeous wife had, I was not careful like this one, so I didn't do all of this. I didn't worry about the break-in, etc., etc. And it did start ticking with 39,000 miles, so I think it had a problem with the lifter or something. I sold it before that, so I don't know. It was still under warranty for the powertrain, but I didn't want to go through the hassle of that. All right, so let's change the filter. All right, so with the filter, no, not rocket science. You just pull it out like that. It is a bit dark, tarnished with the oil. No big deal. And I bought a new Mopar OEM filter, so we're gonna go with that in. And again, out of an abundance of caution, I'm also gonna change the O-ring. Okay, new O-ring, new filter. Let's put this back in the engine. All right, and going in, not rocket science. You just, screw it in by hand. Come with the 24 millimeter socket, and you don't need to go crazy tightening this. It's a plastic cap, so you just snug it. Okay, so we got the oil down to a trickle. So we're gonna go back in with the plug, and with our 13 millimeter, that's not actually 13, it's SAE something, and we're just gonna snug it. Again, no need to go crazy with the oil plug. You just snug it. That's all you need. Easy when you need to change the oil again. And that's it. Now we're gonna go back with the plastic cover again, and let's pour new oil in. Another thing I found that's interesting on the Challenger that you might not know is that the hood is actually made of aluminum. As you can see, the magnet doesn't stick on the hood. It's an aluminum hood, probably for weight, for cutting weight, but you can see the chassis is actually made of steel. So just another interesting quirk. Now we're gonna go in with the 6 quarts of 520 synthetic oil. I'm going to put 5 quarts in, turn on the engine for a couple of seconds, or 5 seconds. Let the oil filter absorb some of the oil. Then I'm going to start putting the last quart, and I'm going to measure it just to make sure. I don't want to put too much oil in the vehicle. So that's 5 quarts of nice golden synthetic Pennzoil oil. Let's put the cap back on, turn the car on for a few seconds. So we got the oil going. I'm just going to let it rest for a minute, and I'm going to measure the oil through the dipstick. Measure the oil. We know it's going to be low. Just want to check out exactly where it is before we put the last quart in, right? So it's right at the bottom of the dipstick. It's not even in the markings yet, as you can see. Let's go in, put half of the last quart, and we'll measure it again. All right, so let's put half of the last quart in, or a little bit more than half. And I'm extremely careful with not putting too much oil, because if you put too much oil in the car, of course, half a quart maybe doesn't make a difference, but a whole quart could make a difference. You can blow the main seals of the engine. You can do a lot of damage to the car if you put too much oil. So that's why I'm very careful with it. Let me take another measure. And of course, when the car sits overnight, some of the oil is gonna decant to the bottom. So we're still obviously at the low marking. I'd say we probably need to give a little bit of time for the oil to reach the oil pan. So I think it's safe to just pour this last bit of the last quart. I think it's going to be safe. We're not going to put too much oil in. All right, so that's 6 quarts. All right, so let's take another measure, and we should be fine. And it should be maybe at the lower end of the marking. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see it, but it's right here. So it's above the lower dot, and I'm gonna leave it at that, because once the oil just decants, I don't know if that's the right word, decant, correct me if I'm wrong, but once it reaches the actual oil pan, the bottom, the level is gonna go up. So if I measure this overnight, it's gonna be over probably in the middle of the markings, and now it's a little bit above of the lower marking. I don't know if you can see, but that's it. That's all. Now let's close the lid here for the oil, and just make sure once you change the oil, you just go over basic stuff. Make sure you've tightened the plug, that you got your dipstick in, that you got the lid in, and you're not forgetting anything before you actually go out and drive, just to be safe. So that's it. This concludes our video for today. I hope it was useful, and if you've liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you like this kind of content. Only 2.5% of you actually subscribe, so help me out. Thank you.